What's up, guys? Enkiri here, and welcome to vlog number 73. I've got a couple pretty solid sessions thrown together for you guys today. I'm finally bringing back the back squat into the mix in my training, and I've got a couple sled drag PRs in here as well. One forwards and one backwards. So, let's kick things off with the squat work. I decided to start things off really light this training cycle. As I've mentioned before, I'll be front squatting once a week and back squatting once a week for the duration of this training block. And this is actually the second back squat session. I started off with just 275 pounds here in week 1 and jumped up to 285 pounds for week 2. All I'm doing at the moment is 5 sets of 5 reps once a week with an optional rep out on the final set, though I won't ever exceed 10 reps there. And as I'm sure you guys will see by the time we get to the 5th set here, it would have been incredibly easy for me to keep going, probably all the way up to 20, and maybe even more, but chasing that wouldn't bring me closer to my end game, so there's not much point in wasting that energy. For the time being, my plan is just to continue on with this same rep scheme and add 10 pounds to the bar every week for as long as I can manage to do so. Once it starts to become too heavy, I'll probably just decrease the reps but keep the number of sets the same. I tend to do better in the long run by moving my focus onto something like 5 sets of 3 as opposed to, say, 3 sets of 5. Now, my main priority right now is still the front squat though, so I don't want these to get too heavy while I'm still focusing on that. I want to be able to put more effort and intensity into the front squat session each week so that I can work my way back up to 4 plates there again. Once I achieve that, I think I'm going to continue to front squat once a week, but I'll switch it up so that I'm only doing the zombie front squats at that point with no regular front squats. And at that time, I'll switch the mental focus up as well so that the priority shifts onto the back squat. And I think that's an important distinction to make in your training. Once you get to a certain point, you can only apply your mental focus onto so many things at once if you actually expect to make any real progress. So, while I'm squatting twice a week right now, the back squat session is currently mostly a means of accruing additional volume, whereas the front squat session is a means of jacking up the intensity. And that intensity is what requires a greater deal of mental effort. That's the work that wears you down psychologically. And so you have to come into those sessions with the right mindset and be prepared to go into battle. But you can only do that so many times without breaking. So you have to pick and choose your battles. I don't want to call the other work filler, but it's not the same level of intensity. And as such, it doesn't require the same degree of mental focus. And both of these things are necessary. They're the yin and the yang of training, essentially. You'll never progress if all you do is push the pedal to the floor and redline your shit every single fucking day and never just put in some quality but lower strain work. And on the other end of the coin, if all you do is come in and jerk off every day and never truly bust your ass, well, then you simply can't expect to ever really get strong. Anyway, after the squats, I moved on to some heavy forward sled dragging. Since I had just finished squatting and I was already plenty warmed up and good to go, I just wanted to get out there and knock out a few solid sets. So I just loaded up 405 pounds onto the sled and got started ramping my way up in weight from there. I think this 405 pretty much felt like it was an empty sled, so instead of making the jump to 450 after like I normally would, I decided to jump up to 475 instead. That allowed me to then make a big jump into the 520-ish range instead of just the 500 range like normal. And then on the final set, that allowed me to go for a big PR with 575 when my best set at the time was only with 540 pounds. So this was good stuff. That's a tactic I like to use often when I think things are going pretty well with an exercise. I always use the exact same weights from session to session as I ramp up in weight. That allows me to feel the changes from day to day in my strength levels. If 405 feels slow and cumbersome, then I know I'm probably not going to hit a PR by the time I get up around the 500 pound range. But if it feels like air, well, then I might be good for something big. But having that comparable feedback is very important in my opinion, and it allows you to decide on the fly when it's time to make a change in the ramp up weights, because you've become so accustomed to how a particular weight feels that when the exertion level on that weight drops low enough, you can be very confident that you've gotten significantly stronger and are ready to increase the baseline numbers that you shoot for on a regular basis. Now, these contrast sprints are from a few days later. So what I'm doing here is resisted sprints with the sled using 135 pounds, and then with maybe just a 30 to 60 second rest, I come back and knock out an unweighted 20-yard dash. Not all the sets are shown here, but I did 8 pairs of this combo during the session, so that's over 300 yards total distance sprinted, which is pretty good volume for a sprint session like this. I've only done a few sessions like this so far since I built my sled, but I really feel like my sprint technique is starting to come along nicely, even though it's only been a handful of sessions. I think 135 is the perfect weight for me to be using on the resisted sprints right now, as it slows me down a decent bit, but not too much. But at the same time, it really allows me to drive forward with a strong torso lean as I'm accelerating and really hold that position throughout most of the sprint. And I feel like that's starting to carry over a bit into my regular sprints as well, which is one of the goals of this exercise. So that's awesome. I'm thinking after a few more months of this, once we start to approach the summer of 2019, I'm going to have to get out to a field and test out some 40 and 60-yard dashes and see how those feel. I should be able to post some pretty solid times by then. And after all the sprints, I finished things up here with some heavy backwards sled drags. I put in some solid work here as well. This was the same deal as with the forward drags the other day. Everything was feeling pretty damn good, so I figured I'd just keep on ramping up the weight and see if I could hit myself a nifty little PR. And sure enough, I think the most I had done up to this point on the backwards drag was just 450 pounds. And in this session, after I hit the drag with 450, I managed to take 500 for a pretty easy ride, actually, of just about 15 yards or so. It looks to me like there's definitely some more in the tank there as well, but I haven't gotten back around to doing any backwards heavy dragging since then, so we'll get to it when we get to it. But anyway, pretty good stuff all around, and I think that's about all I got for now, guys. Please be sure to like the video, don't forget to subscribe to my channel, and definitely leave me some love in the comments down below. I hope you all have a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, and make sure you keep training hard. And I will catch you guys next time.